Think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Look well into thyself. There is a source of strength which will always spring up if thou wilt always look. Do not indulge in dreams of having what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess, and then thankfully remember how you would crave them if they were not yours. The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane. Here is a rule to remember in future when anything tempts you to feel bitter. Not, this is misfortune, but to bear this worthily is good fortune. Accept whatever comes to you woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs? You don't have to turn this into something. It doesn't have to upset you. To live a good life, we all have the potential for it if we learn to be indifferent to what makes no difference. Think of yourself as dead. You have lived your life. Now, take what's left and live it properly. Death smiles at us all, but all a man can do is smile back. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Your mind will take the shape of what you frequently hold in thought, for the human spirit is colored by such impressions. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight. A man's true delight is to do the things he was made for.
So he goes on in the purport, beautiful purport. He describes here, the word Muni means one who can agitate his mind in various ways for mental speculation without coming to a factual conclusion. So we know, we've just been hearing about from Krishna about how the mind gets agitated from the outer world through the senses. But there's another way now that the mind can get agitated, and that's through mental speculation. What a deep assessment of the mind. That one can also be agitated by mental speculation. What if it's this? It could be that, maybe this, maybe that, but. You know that but? So this all means mental speculation, that one is just speculating probability. And the nature of probability is that it's endless. There can be unlimited probabilities, so there can be unlimited speculations. So if we just keep on speculating, oh, it could be that, could be this, could be that, we just keep on agitating the mind for more probabilities. And the more we do that, the more the mind now becomes agitated from the inside. Adi Atmik. the mind becomes more agitated from the inside. So two ways the mind gets agitated by oneself: through the senses from the outside and from mental speculation from the inside. Let's read further. It is said that every mind has a different angle of vision, and unless a Muni differs from another Muni, he cannot be called a Muni in the strict sense of the term. So a Muni is a philosopher. That it could be, he's philosophizing about life. Basically, he's a mental scientist. He's just looking at all the probabilities of life. From whatever he's assessed about knowledge, he's just looking at all the probabilities of life. That it could be like that, it could be like that, that could be an option, that could be an option. And the worst part, you come to no conclusion. It's one thing assessing all these things, but by his nature, he doesn't come to a conclusion. Because once you come to a conclusion, then there's no more speculation. So he starts becoming attached to the idea of thinking and thought process. So his enjoyment is not a sensual enjoyment anymore. It's not coming from the senses. His enjoyment is an intellectual enjoyment. His enjoyment is coming from just thinking about different thought processes. Because at the end of the day, what is enjoyment? Enjoyment that you experience at the sensual level is coming through the nervous system. It's coming through one of the five senses, and it's ending up in the mind, and the experience is being enjoyed in the mind. So he's shortcutting it. He's saying, why go through the senses? Just relish in the mind. Just bring up the memory of some very nice pizza or some very nice food and relish that within the mind. Because what we call sensual is simply an electrical impulse going through the brain. So if you shortcut that, because many times it will be disappointing, better remember something that you did enjoy and relish that within the mind. So this is where he's gone. From the working senses, now he's moved up to the mental level, and he thinks, well, I can philosophize and enjoy at the level of the mind. So a Muni or a philosopher enjoys at the level of the mind, and a Karmi is a person who enjoys at the level of the body. So you can see two distinct levels of enjoyment. So we see that devotees are also philosophers. They are thinkers. And because they are thinkers, what is the difference between them and a Muni? Well, the difference is they are following the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita in authentic disciplic line. So they are also studying philosophy, but they are studying Krishna's philosophy. It's conclusive philosophy. They are not engaged in mental speculation. They are connected directly with Krishna's own words. So Prabhupada goes on to explain this kind of a philosopher. He describes here, but a Sthita Dhir Muni, as mentioned herein by the Lord, is different from an ordinary Muni. You see, he's different. The devotee is also a philosopher, but he's different. He's not looking at different probabilities. He's saying, this is what Krishna is saying. Factually, follow it. So, let's see how Prabhupada describes this. The Sthita Dhir Muni is always in Krishna consciousness, for he has exhausted all his business of creative speculation. He's not speculating anymore. He's simply following Krishna's words as a lifestyle, and thus whatever he's repeating is Krishna's words. Prashanta Nihishesha Manoratantara, Stotra Ratna 43. Or one who has surpassed the stage of mental speculations and has come to the conclusion that Lord Shri Krishna or Vasudev is everything. Vasudev Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. So this Prabhupada is quoting from the 7th chapter, 7.19. Bahunam Janmane Ante Gyanavam Mam Prabhadyante Vasudev Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. So he's describing here that Bahunam Janmana Ante, after many, many births, Janmana, Bahunam Janmana Ante, unlimited births. What happens? Gyanavam Mam Prapadyante. One finally gets to hear about me. And who is that me? Vasudev Sarvamiti. He gets to learn that Vasudev Sarvam Iti. Sarva means all. Iti, the cause of everything. The cause of all causes is Vasudev or Krishna. Vasudev Sarvam Iti. Sa Mahatma Sudullabha. That this person in Krishna's eyes is called a Mahatma. That when one comes to that point of giving attention to hearing Krishna's message, Sa Mahatma Sudullabha. In Krishna's eyes, that person is a Mahatma. So out of speculating for many, many lifetimes, it could be this, it could be that, maybe God is like this, maybe God is like that. Finally, when you come to get the Bhagavad Gita in your hand, and when that Bhagavad Gita is coming through an authentic disciplic chain, then when you study that Bhagavad Gita, Sa Mahatma Sudullabha, you become in Krishna's words a Mahatma, a great soul. Maha-Atma, a great soul. So he concludes here, he is called a Muni fixed in mind. So we know amongst the devotees there are also Munis, but they are fixed in mind. Just like Narada Muni, Angira Muni, these are great sages. So how are they different from this Muni mental speculator? They are fixed in mind. So what are they fixed on? Vasudeva Sarvamiti. That Vasudev is everything. Vasudev is the supreme feature of the spiritual platform. So he concludes here, such a fully Krishna conscious person is not at all disturbed by the onslaughts of the threefold miseries. Why? For he accepts all miseries as the mercy of the Lord. Wow!
True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is sufficient. For he that is so wants nothing. Begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life. It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that things are difficult. We all sorely complain of the shortness of time, and yet have much more than we know what to do with. Our lives are either spent in doing nothing at all, or in doing nothing to the purpose, or in doing nothing that we ought to do. We are always complaining that our days are few, and acting as though there would be no end of them. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. The bravest sight in the world is to see a great man struggling against adversity. Every night, before going to sleep, we must ask ourselves, what weakness did I overcome today? What virtue did I acquire? Throw me to the wolves, and I will return leading the pack. Life is never incomplete if it is an honorable one. At whatever point you leave life, if you leave it in the right way, it is whole. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. You want to live, but do you know how to live? You are scared of dying, but tell me, is the kind of life you lead really any different to being dead? The greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach. A wise man is contented with his lot, whatever it may be. Man is affected not by events, but by the view he takes of them. As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters. Sometimes even to live is an act of courage. If you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person. Until we have begun to go without them, we fail to realize how unnecessary many things are. We've been using them not because we needed them, but because we had them. He suffers more than necessary who suffers before it is necessary. Hang on to your youthful enthusiasms. You'll be able to use them better when you are older. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity.
So this is where we all want to be. We all want to be in that state of mind where we can accept everything that's happening outside and inside as the mercy of the Lord. Wouldn't that be wonderful? That means all the problems we're facing right now due to COVID won't trouble us. But this is the perfection. This is the standard. This is the highest stage one can reach. So how does one get to that stage? By taking the gradual developments that we've been discussing. Dear devotees, I know many of you are going through many difficulties right now. And one of the most powerful and effective ways to deal with what you're going through right now is to remember who was helping you all this time. It's a problem now because you're looking at it and facing reality for what it is. But from the time of your birth, right up to right now, or right up to yesterday, or right up to today, who was taking care of everything for you? Who was giving you the air? Who was giving you the water? Who was giving you the food? Who was digesting your food? Who was giving you every part of who you are up to this point? Don't you have the faith that that same person is there? The person who brought you right up to where you are right now is the same person who's going to take you forward. Why do you doubt that? Why have you changed your mindset? Because you're not taking shelter on the spiritual platform. You are taking shelter on the bodily level, on your own strength, on your own speculations. And this is when the mind can become very turbulent. So a very comforting way to see this is that He took care of me right up to this point. He will take care of me moving forward. Thinking himself only worthy of more trouble due to his past misdeeds, and he sees that his miseries, by the grace of the Lord, are minimized to the lowest. So we see that Krishna is taking care of the ant to make sure he gets his grain of food, and is also taking care of the elephant to make sure that he gets 100 kilos of vegetation for his food. So if he's taking care of these animals which are not devotees, and you are his devotee, why he won't take care of you? It may not happen in the time frame that you want. That is the problem. We attach to the time frame. We want it now. It must happen now. Then I know God is there. If it doesn't happen now, I'll change my God and get another one. God is God. There is only one God. We're calling Him by different names. So the problem is we attach to the time frame. And if we realize this is a construct of the mind. So see it for what it is. Don't see it for more than what it is. So whenever we face to the problem, the first thing, see it for what it is. Don't see it for more than what it is. See it for what it is. When you see it for what it is, you're able to assess then what can be done. When you see it for more than what it is, then it becomes, then it's up to imagination. And you know your imagination can create the best horror movie with your life. So he concludes here, similarly, when he is happy, he gives credit to the Lord, thinking himself unworthy of the happiness. He realizes that it is due only to the Lord's grace that he is in such a comfortable condition and able to render better service to the Lord. When it's a difficult time, he's understood the laws of nature. Therefore, he's understood that I'm going through a bad cycle right now. And when it's a good time, it's, oh my Lord, thank you. By your grace, I'm going through a good cycle right now. And whether it's good or bad, these are the cycles of life. Some happen at a level that we can manage easily, and some happen at a level that we can't manage easily. But those ones that we can't manage easily means we need higher help. We need stronger help. We need more knowledge. We need better information. We need spiritual intervention. And therefore, that is also good, because now it's gradually making you build and grow yourself in the spiritual way. So when you look at it, for a devotee, the bad is good because it's gradually making him focus on the ultimate goal, the spiritual goal. And the good is good because that's the grace of the Lord. So in both ways, he's saying both are good. But the problem is the mind, and the mind wants relief from the situation right now. So trust that you are his devotee, and he declares this in Bhagavad Gita in the 9th chapter. Shipram bhavati dharmatma sasvak shantim nigacchati kauntiya pratijanehi na me bhakta pranasati. He says, Arjun, kauntiya pratijanehi na me bhakta pranasati. My devotee never perishes.